Welcome back to the Deep Dive.
Glad to be here.
Before we get into today's discussion, and trust me, you are really going to want to hear this one, I need you to do me a favor.
Oh yeah, do it right now.
Seriously, hit that like and subscribe button right now. Just take a second. It helps us keep the lights on, it helps the algorithm find us, and it ensures you don't miss out when we drop deep dives exactly like this one.
Because today is a heavy hitter.
It is. Today, we are reviewing a book that I can really only describe it as a weapon.
Yeah.
It's an ebook titled Time Daddy, Long-Term Preference, Character, and High-Trust Culture, and it's by Conrad Reicher.
It is certainly a title that grabs you right by the throat, isn't it?
Absolutely. Time Daddy.
But once you get past the provocation of that title, what Reicher has written here is essentially a manifesto.
Yeah.
It is an ultra-long, incisive, and frankly, fascinating look at why modern men are failing.
And the hook is intense. I mean, Reicher positions this not just as a casual weekend read, but as a literal manual for men who are tired of being lied to.
Right.
If you are listening to this and you feel like the deck is stacked against you, like the institutions are rotting, or like you're just, running on a hamster wheel, Reicher says you're right.
You're not crazy.
Exactly. But he argues that while the game is rigged, most men are actually playing it wrong anyway.
And I want to be really clear up front here. We are going to do our absolute best to summarize the core arguments, but this text is dense.
Super dense.
It's packed with strategy, history, economic data. If you want the full blueprint, you need to go to Amazon Kindle or Google Play Books immediately and buy the book.
Yeah, we're just scratching the surface today.
Just a taste.
And for the daily updates, you should know Reicher is really active on Substack at Conrad and Reicher. So that's where the ongoing insights are.
Definitely follow him there.
But let's dive right into the beast. The central villain of this book is something Reicher calls the lie of now.
The lie of now. Right, so this is the foundation of his entire argument. Reicher's thesis is that society, specifically through the vehicles of feminism, cultural Marxism, and consumer technology, has essentially engineered men to be short-term thinkers.
Engineered us.
Yeah, we have been conditioned systematically to be impulsive, reactive, and weak.
And the result isn't just that we're, unhappy or broke. He actually argues it's the literal destruction of civilization itself.
Which sounds hyperbolic at first.
It does. But he grounds it immediately. He starts with a very famous psychological baseline, the marshmallow test.
Right, the Stanford study. I think most people know the basics of this one. You put a kid in a room with a marshmallow, you tell them, hey, if you can wait 15 minutes without eating this, I will give you 2 marshmallows.
It sounds so simple.
But the results were profound. Reicher uses this to set the stage. The kids who waited, the ones who had that internal discipline to delay gratification, they ended up with higher SAT scores, lower BMIs, better careers, lower divorce rates.
And the kids who ate it immediately.
They struggled across the board in almost every metric.
And then Reicher takes that psychological concept and he expands it into a civilizational theory. He defines this as time preference.
Yes.
Low time preference is the ability to delay gratification. The book claims it's the foundation of everything we value: building cities, saving capital, raising families, maintaining infrastructure.
While high time preference is the exact opposite.
Right. It's, I want it now. I eat the marshmallow now. I buy the car now. I quit the job now.
He draws this brutal contrast between the ancient world and today to illustrate this. He talks about the Spartanagoge.
Oh man, that part was heavy.
It is. You've got a Spartan boy standing at the altar of Artemis Orthia, literally being whipped, enduring physical agony for the sake of long-term honor and belonging to the tribe.
And he doesn't flinch.
He doesn't complain. He stands there.
Versus the modern counterpart Reicher describes,
Yeah.
the Gen Z kid, or even the millennial, let's be honest, who goes into a full-blown panic attack if the Wi-Fi drops or a text isn't answered in 2 seconds.
It's funny, but it's also really terrifying, because Reicher throws out the CDC verified stat that the average man checks his phone 96 times a day.
96 times.
Think about what that does to the brain. 96 interruptions. 96 little dopamine hits. Reicher argues that this is a complete fragmentation of the mind.
You can't build anything with that.
Exactly. You cannot build a legacy, you cannot build a time daddy lifestyle if your attention is shattered 96 times a day. This is the lie of now in action. We are being trained to be dopamine addicts.
Dependent on that immediate feedback loop.
Right.
He actually illustrates the economic consequence of this with his story from the text about John versus Jake. And I think A lot of you listening are going to see yourselves in one of these two guys.
It's the classic fable of the ant and the grasshopper, just updated for the modern debt economy.
Yeah.
So John has low time preference. He saves, he invests early, he lets compound interest do the heavy lifting. He denies himself the flashy car and the trips in his 20s. He drives a beater, he wears basic clothes.
And then there's Jake. Jake lives in the now.
He takes on the lease for the BMW because he wants to look successful today.
He racks up credit card debt for experiences and clothes. He chases the dopamine hits of consumption.
And the tragedy here is that Jake actually feels like he's winning in the short term. He looks better, he's having more quote-unquote fun.
But Riker points out that by the time they hit their 40s, John is completely free and Jake is broken.
Jake is a slave to his debt. And Riker's point is that this isn't just about math or financial literacy, it's a philosophical problem. Wealth is a result of character.
That is such a key line from the book. Wealth is a symptom of time mastery.
Yes.
If you can control your impulse to consume now, you own the future. If you can't, the future owns you.
Period.
But, and here is where the book takes a really sharp turn into deeper, much more controversial waters. Riker doesn't just blame smartphones or credit cards for this. He points the finger directly at feminism and what he calls gynocentrism.
Yeah, this is a major pillar of the text. And again, we're just outlining his argument here. Riker argues that modern culture has become gynocentric, meaning it essentially prioritizes female emotional volatility over male stoicism.
Right.
He posits that feminism, in its current iteration, wasn't really about equality in the legal sense, but about destroying male time preference.
And how does he make that connection? Like, how does feminism destroy time preference, according to the book?
Well, the argument is that the cultural shift incentivized women to extract value now. He talks about the shift in family law and consumer culture.
Okay.
The system shames men for planning and saving, calling it stingy or boring or controlling, while encouraging women to spend and upgrade relationships instantly based on how they feel in the moment.
He goes really hard on the legal system here. He talks about the no-fault divorce law.
California in 1970.
Right, 1970. He points to that as the specific moment marriage fundamentally changed. He says it changed marriage from a covenant, a lifetime contract, to merely a legally enforceable breakup.
And he brings some staggering data to back this up. He cites a University of Kansas study showing that after divorce, men's net worth drops by an average of 77%,
That's 77%.
while women's actually increases.
I mean, if that number is accurate, that is a complete wipeout. That's not a setback. That's a total reset to zero.
It's a devastation. And Riker describes the family court system as a mechanism of extraction.
Right.
Think about it in terms of time preference. A man builds equity over decades, classic low time preference behavior. He works the overtime, he pays down the mortgage.
But a judge can just hand that equity over because a wife feels empty or unhappy in that particular moment.
Exactly. Riker calls this feminized socialism, the redistribution of resources based on emotional needs rather than merit or contract.
And he connects this to evolutionary psychology, too. He argues that this isn't just social conditioning, it's actual biology.
Yes, according to the source material, there is a biological divergence. The book claims women are naturally attuned to the female now immediate survival, emotional needs, the safety of the nest in the present moment,
Whereas men, biologically, are built for the hunt.
tracking prey over days, strategic planning, the male future. Riker's thesis is that civilization collapses when the female now overrides the male future.
Wow.
When feelings matter more than the long-term plan, the very architecture of society crumbles.
Which brings us to the actual architects of this collapse, according to the book. He talks about the history of our institutions before they were captured. We're talking about cultural Marxism and the long march through the institutions.
Riker provides a lot of historical context here, which is important for understanding his view on where we are. He points to the Frankfurt School, established in 1923, thinkers like Herbert Marcuse.
Right.
Riker argues these intellectuals deliberately weaponize impulsivity.
Weaponized impulsivity. That's a really strong phrase. What exactly does he mean by that?
Well, they attacked what they called bourgeois virtues. And what are those virtues? Thrift, patience, duty, the nuclear family.
Basically, all low time preference behaviors.
Exactly. The Frankfurt School framed these as oppressive. They pushed for concepts like repressive tolerance and the Great Refusal, which is basically rejecting discipline in favor of immediate gratification and identity politics.
So the argument the book is making is that this wasn't an accident. It was a deliberate strategy to destabilize the West.
According to Riker, yes. By eroding the capacity for delayed gratification, You erode the capacity for capitalism and the traditional family structure.
And Riker gives some insane examples of how this rot has set into institutions today. The military one really stuck with me because it seems so counterintuitive.
You mean the drill sergeant at Fort Campbell?
Yeah. This sergeant says they are spending more time on unconscious bias training and learning pronouns than on actual marksmanship or unit cohesion.
And the text claims enlistment is down because men who are naturally drawn to competence and hierarchy simply won't serve a system that mocks them.
He also mentions the corporate and tech world, the BBC engineering division.
Right. The book details a quote-unquote quiet collapse of competence there, where signal integrity tests were failing.
Right.
Because of diversity hires who literally couldn't do the math. The argument is that when you prioritize identity over merit and emotion over logic, you lose the ability to maintain complex systems. You lose the ability to just keep the lights on.
It's the enemy within. It's not an external invasion, it's an internal decay.
Exactly. It's an internal crumbling of standards. But Riker doesn't just leave us in the rubble, which I appreciate.
Right, he pivots.
He contrasts this decay with how the West was actually built. He uses the concept of cathedral thinking.
I love this part. It's such a powerful visual. He talks about the building of Salisbury Cathedral, which took 38 years, and Cologne Cathedral, which took 632 years.
Just think about the mindset required for that. Men laying the foundation stones knew with 100% certainty that they would never see the spire.
Yeah.
They would never see the finished work. They were working entirely for a future generation. That is the ultimate low time preference. It's the exact opposite of, I want my marshmallow now.
Riker also brings up the Amish, which was honestly surprising in a book about high-tech modern problems.
It makes perfect sense in his framework, though. He argues the Amish aren't anti-tech. They are anti-distraction.
Right.
They have a high-trust society, zero bank failures. They build huge barns in a single day. Why? Because they completely reject the cult of speed.
Wow.
They operate on trust, and Riker explains the economic link here. Trust correlates directly with time preference. You cannot have a high-trust society with people addicted to instant dopamine from social media, fast food, quick profit.
Because if everyone is looking for a shortcut, you can't trust anyone.
Precisely.
Okay, so we've diagnosed the disease, we've seen the enemy, we've seen the historical context. What's the solution? The book is titled Time Daddy, so clearly that's the goal.
Yeah.
How does a guy actually become a time daddy in a world literally designed to make him a time child?
It starts with reclaiming biology and reclaiming the mind. The time daddy lifestyle described in the book is about becoming time dominant.
I like that.
And Riker actually flips the script on parenting and testosterone here, which addresses a really common fear in the manosphere space.
Yeah, the cuckoo myth. The idea that having kids makes you soft.
Right. There's this widespread belief that testosterone drops when men become fathers, the whole dad bod phenomenon.
Yeah.
But Riker cites studies showing that fathers who are active caregivers, meaning protectors, teachers, disciplinarians, actually see a rise in testosterone.
Really?
Yes. Biology rewards investment, it rewards the long game. Nature actually wants you to be a time daddy.
That's fascinating. And then there's the tactical stuff he gets into. He talks about the dopamine detox.
This is non-negotiable for him. You have to stop bleeding time. He suggests using a dumb phone or a very basic phone, silencing all notifications.
He mentions something called the digital attention tax.
Yeah, that every time you get interrupted by a ping or a buzz, you lose 23 minutes of deep focus.
23 minutes.
If you get interrupted 3 times an hour, you literally never achieve deep focus. Ever.
Man, he lays out a routine that sounds like a modern-day Spartan gauche for men,
Yeah.
starting with waking up at 4:30 a.m.
Like Jocko Willing or Marcus Aurelius, the idea isn't just the whole rise and grind hustle culture thing.
Right.
It's about owning the day before the world steals it from you. At 4:30 a.m., there are no emails, there are no demands from the gynocentric world. It is pure, uninterrupted time.
And cold showers. He doesn't describe them as just hygiene or waking up, does he?
No, he calls them neurochemical training wheels.
That's a great term.
It's about forcing the nervous system to handle shock without panicking. It trains you to override the impulse to seek comfort. If you can stand under freezing water for 3 minutes and consciously control your breathing, you can handle a stressful email or a chaotic situation without losing your frame.
Then there's what he calls the trivium, going back to grammar, logic, and rhetoric, reading primary sources.
Riker argues that you need to bypass the modern filter. Don't read what some journalist says Plato wrote. Read Plato, read Locke, instead of scrolling TikTok.
Build a mind that can process truth directly.
Exactly. It's about inoculating yourself against the lie of now.
Financially, he prescribes financial thrift, living on 80% of your income and investing the other 20%.
And he has this 5-year rule for purchases. If you can't envision actively using the item in 5 years, don't buy it.
That cuts out almost all consumers' junk instantly.
Completely.
But the part that really sounded intense, and honestly, I think this is the missing link for a lot of guys reading this kind of material, was the concept of brotherhood, the tribunal.
This is crucial to his strategy. Riker argues you cannot do this alone. The world is too designed to pull you down.
It's too strong.
Right. So he suggests forming accountability groups where men literally audit each other's finances and fitness. And I mean real audits.
Open the bank apps.
Open the bank apps, show the screen time stats on your phone.
The story of the failure vest in the book was hilarious, but man, so effective.
Yeah, a man in this group missed his gym sessions, so he was forced to wear a high-vis vest that literally said failure on it during their meetup.
Brutal.
It sounds harsh, but Riker argues that society has removed shame as a corrective tool. We need to reintroduce healthy shame for failure. If you fail your brothers, you should feel it. That's how you get better.
It's about accountability. It's about having a tribe that simply won't let you be mediocre.
Precisely.
Okay, so we've covered the history, the enemy, the institutional capture, and the tactics. What does this all mean for you, the listener, right now? Why should you care about being a time daddy?
I think it connects back to that idea of legacy. At the end of the day, Riker is asking the reader to plant trees they will never sit under.
Yeah.
The ultimate rebellion against a short-term, feminist, Marxist world, as he describes it, is to be a man who builds a multi-generational legacy, to build something that outlasts the current chaos.
The time daddy is unstoppable because he is not in a hurry. That's such a powerful image.
It really is. It's the man who stands still while the rest of the world spins out of control. The man who is quietly building a cathedral while everyone else is fighting over marshmallows.
Listen, if this conversation fired you up, and if you're still listening, I know it did, you need to get the full manual. We've given you the overview, but the devil is in the details here.
Oh, yeah.
Go to Amazon Kindle or Google Play Books right now. Don't wait. Don't have high time preference about this. Buy Time Daddy by Conrad Riker. This deep dive was really just a taste of the full manifesto.
And for the daily insights, the ongoing strategy, and the community around this, make sure you follow at Conrad Riker on Substack. That is where the conversation continues.
Absolutely. And hey, if you found value in this deep dive, do not forget to like and subscribe. We are trying to build our own little corner of high trust culture right here, and we need you on this journey with us.
Remember the core mantra from the book.
Don't just survive the moment, dominate the time. We'll see you in the next deep dive.
Net focus.
And stay dangerous.